Hello and thanks for joining us for our mid-morning edition of Arirang News. I'm Mark Broom. Happy New Year, everyone. Let's start by taking a look at the day's headlines. It's a new year and the January cold is beginning to bite here in South Korea. Temperatures are well below zero and it will be bone-chillingly cold for the rest of the day. North Korea's leader delivers his annual New Year's address. Kim Jong-un affirms that he's committed to denuclearization, but warns he will change course if the US continues its sanctions. Plus, NASA's New Horizons spacecraft makes humanity's most distant exploration of another world. It passes a celestial body 1.6 billion kilometers beyond Pluto. So let's start with a brief look at the weather on this first work day of 2019 here in South Korea. As you might expect, in early January, it's cold. In fact, it's really cold for most of us. The morning low in Seoul dipped to -9 degrees Celsius, and that's not even taking into account the wind chill. Busan in the south saw the mercury drop to -3 degrees, which is pretty cold for down there. Both are colder temperatures than the seasonal averages. The good news is that we have clear skies and even better news, good air quality for most of the country today. Our weathercaster Lee Ji-hyun will have more in-depth report on all things weather related towards the tail end of this newscast. And kicking off the first working day of 2019, President Moon Jae-in visited the National Cemetery in Seoul this morning, paying his respects to South Korea's fallen heroes. The visit being the first official event of the third year of his single five-year presidency. President Moon, as you can see, was accompanied by all 19 members of his cabinet, including Prime Minister Lee Nak-yeon, as well as his senior aides. He left a message in the visitor log indicating 2019 is the 100th anniversary of Korea's national foundation. He's keen to settle the dispute that modern Korea was founded in 1919 when the country's provisional government was established in Shanghai during Japan's colonial rule. He also reiterated his resolve to make Korea a country where everyone can be well off together. Just as years gone by, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un gave his New Year's address on Tuesday, laying out his plans for 2019. He called on the US to meet his regime halfway on denuclearization, but insisted he's willing to meet with President Trump for a second summit at any time. South Korea praised Kim for the speech, especially welcoming his remarks that inter-Korean cooperation should deepen even further over the next 12 months. Oh Jung-hee reports.
North Korea is willing to start a new relationship with Washington, but that has to be done through joint efforts by the two sides. That's the message from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on Tuesday, January 1st, through his annual New Year's address. Kim stressed he's willing to sit down for a meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump at any time, but added he can't help but look for a, quote, new way if the U.S. doesn't keep its promise and forces Pyongyang with sanctions and pressure.
우리의 주동적이며 선제적인 노력에 미국이 신뢰성 있는 조치를 취하며 상응한 실천 행동으로 화답에 나선다면 두 나라 관계는 보다 더 확실하고 획기적인 조치들을 취해 나가는 과정을 통해서 훌륭하고도 빠른 속도로 전진하게 될 것입니다.
The North Korean leader also called on South Korea and the U.S. to stop their joint military drills and deployment of strategic assets. He said these raise tensions on the Korean peninsula despite the two Koreas' promise for peace and prosperity. Kim added multilateral negotiations need to start among the parties concerned to transform the current armistice status into a complete end of war. Meanwhile, Kim Jong-un expressed that inter-Korean exchanges and cooperation should deepen further in the new year. He urged the two Koreas to put their power together so that no external forces nor sanctions and pressure can get in the way.
당면하여 우리는 개성공업 지구에 진출하였던 남측 기업인들이 어려운 사정과 민족의 명산을 찾아보고 싶어하는 남녘동포들의 소망을 헤아려 아무런 전제 조건이나 대가 없이 개성공업지구와 금강산 관광을 재개할 용의가 있습니다.
All in all, Pyongyang is hoping to resume cooperation with the South in fields that will require sanctions relief, and experts say the key now is what reciprocal measures Washington can offer.
South Korea and the U.S. need to agree on what Washington can give to Pyongyang for dismantling its Yangyang nuclear facilities. And in those corresponding measures, Seoul needs to include resuming the Kaesong Industrial Complex and tours to Mount Kumgangsan, as well as rail and road connections, so that South Korea's interests can be reflected as much as possible.
Seoul welcomed Kim's New Year speech. The presidential office spokesperson assessed that Kim's speech yearns for an improvement in inter-Korean relations and North Korea-U.S. relations, and added this will have a positive impact on resolving the Korean Peninsula issue in the new year. Oh Jung-hee, Arirang News.
Now, in response to Kim Jong-un's New Year's speech, U.S. President Donald Trump said he too looks forward to meeting with the North Korean leader. President Trump on Tuesday evening tweeted the comment together with part of a news report that says Kim Jong-un is ready to meet with President Trump anytime. He referred to Kim as someone who realizes that North Korea possesses great economic potential. Trump's tweet also included the part of the report where it said the regime will not make or test nuclear weapons or give them to others. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has dumped fuel on the fire of Tokyo's ongoing military radar spat with South Korea. Despite Seoul saying last month's incident was nothing more than a misunderstanding, Abe called it a, quote, dangerous act, and he urged Seoul to accept what he called the facts. Lee Seung-jae reports.
Despite South Korea strongly rejecting claims, a 3,200-ton South Korean destroyer recently locked on to a Japanese patrol jet, Japan continues to verbally fire back at Seoul. In an interview with Asahi TV on Tuesday, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe called the incident a dangerous act, and South Korea must take measures to prevent something similar happening again. Abe added Seoul must accept what he called the facts. This comes as Japanese media reported Saturday that Tokyo's recent release of video footage related to the incident was at the order of Abe himself. Local newspapers report Abe summoned Japanese Defense Minister Takeshi Iwaya to his office and ordered the video's immediate release. In the same interview, Abe also criticized the South Korean Supreme Court's ruling in favor of Korean victims who were forced into labor during Japan's colonial rule of the Korean Peninsula, saying it's unheard of in international law. Abe also expressed interest in meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in the future to resolve issues involving Japanese nationals who were abducted by the North in the 1970s and 80s. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Tottenham Hotspur forward Son Heung-min has carried on his red-hot streak into 2019, helping the London club to a comfortable 3-0 win over Cardiff City on Tuesday with a goal and an assist. The South Korean international set up Tottenham's second goal of the match and scored himself in the 26th minute. It was his 5th game in a row that Son has either scored or helped one of his teammates find the back of the net. So far this season, the 27-year-old has scored 11 goals, with 8 of those coming in the English Premier League. Now, it isn't so much a case of around the world, but out of this world to start our international news today. The new year has started with a record-setting space mission by NASA. Its New Horizons spacecraft has survived the most distant exploration of another world. It's a tiny, icy object nearly 6.5 billion kilometers away from Earth, so outside pretty much our solar system. For more on this and other news from our actual Earth, we turn over to our Noah Aram. So Aram, tell us more about this space mission.
Well, Mark, NASA scientists confirmed on New Year's Day that the New Horizons spacecraft made contact with Earth to confirm its successful flyby of Ultima Thule. Now, that is the frozen rock, and it looks like a peanut or bowling pin and sits just on the edge of our solar system, as you said, and it sits about 1.6 billion kilometers beyond Pluto. NASA says New Horizons will ping back more detailed images and data from Ultima in the coming days, which will give a better insight into the object's creation. Another question would be to see if Ultima is actually a single object or two objects orbiting each other.
One possibility is that it's bilobate, with the upper lobe being smaller than the lower lobe, so they would be asymmetric. Or it may be that these are two things that are actually in orbit around each other and just blurred together because of their proximity. If it's two separate objects, this would be an unprecedented situation in terms of how close they're orbiting to one another, and it will be spectacular to see.
It takes roughly 6 hours for radio signals to reach Earth, and it will take 20 months for New Horizons to send all of its flyby data. After working on the Ultima data, researchers will then seek more funding for an extension to the mission. New Horizons should have just enough fuel to visit another object sometime in the next decade. Now, in other news, police in the English city of Manchester are treating a New Year's Eve stabbing of 3 people as a terrorist incident. A 25-year-old male suspect is in custody after the attack at Victoria railway station. The 3 victims, including a police officer, were taken to a nearby hospital with serious but not life-threatening injuries. The officer was discharged from hospital on Tuesday. Prime Minister Theresa May expressed concern for the victims and thanked the first responders. Starting this year, German citizens who do not fit biologically as either male or female can legally now be registered as a third gender or intersex. The new law was adopted last month, and the intersex now appears on official documents such as birth certificates. Previously, those who considered themselves neither man nor woman was to leave the gender entry blank. But LGBT campaigners say the new law does not go far enough, as it requires a doctor's certificate proving a person is actually intersex. They say it should be easier for such people to register the gender they identify themselves with. Rescue workers in Russia have pulled an 11-month-old baby boy alive from the rubble of an apartment building that collapsed in a gas explosion. The incident in central Russia has been dubbed the New Year miracle after the baby survived for 35 hours in freezing temperatures. However, officials said the child was in a dangerous condition with serious frostbite, a head injury and leg fractures. The explosion has left at least 7 people dead and dozens more are still missing.
Back to some local news now, and a wildfire that started in South Korea's Gangwon-do province on New Year's Day has spread, and an evacuation order issued for 48 households in the vicinity of the blaze. The fire is expected to spread towards Nonhwari and Sangpyeongri, which are in the center of Yangyang County. The number of evacuees has increased by more than 100 in just 24 hours. More than a dozen helicopters and some 1,600 emergency personnel and firefighters are working on putting out the fire, but strong winds are impeding their progress. The fire department is still trying to determine the source of the wildfire. So it's 2019 now, so as a result of that, we thought we'd take a look back at how the South Korean economy performed in 2018. The country's exports were the highlight. They hit a record high of more than $600 billion last year, and that's largely thanks to bumper outbound shipments of semiconductors. Go Ryun-hee reports.
South Korea's exports surged to a record high last year thanks to increased outbound shipments of semiconductors. According to the Trade Ministry on Tuesday, the total value of exports last year was around $605.5 billion, up 5.5% from the previous year. South Korea is now the 7th country in the world to surpass the $600 billion mark in annual exports. The ministry attributed the rise to strong exports of semiconductors, which increased by almost 30% in 2018 compared to the previous year. Up to November 20th last year, semiconductors accounted for more than 20% of total exports. Analysts say the increased demand for memory chips comes on the back of increased construction of data centers, which are centralized locations where computing and networking equipment is concentrated for storing or processing large amounts of data. Export figures for petroleum products also increased due to the rise in international oil prices. The price of Dubai crude, South Korea's benchmark, rose by more than 30% in 2018, meaning higher export prices for Korea. Another reason was strong global demand for Korean machinery, especially from new markets such as India. Breaking it down by export destination, the ministry pointed out that exports to the U.S. and China also hit a record high, despite the ongoing trade war between the world's biggest economies. In 2018, exports to the U.S. increased by 6% and China by more than 14%. Trade Minister Heung-min said on Tuesday that these strong figures mean that the quality of local products has reached a level similar to other leading countries like the U.S. He also vowed to actively support small and mid-sized businesses that look to enter overseas markets. However, he acknowledged that companies might go through some difficulties this year due to the ongoing trade war between the U.S. and China and a slowdown in global economic growth. 고른이 Arirang News.
The year of the golden pig has finally dawned upon us. People here in South Korea are hoping for better luck in 2019 as pigs symbolize abundance and good fortune. In this country, our Kim Hyo-sun delves deeper into the meaning of the year of the golden pig.
Pigs are seen as a symbol of wealth and good fortune in Korea as they give birth to many piglets. During the 1970s and 80s, barbershops in Korea had images of pigs on their walls, hoping to attract more customers. Coin banks have also long been in the shape of pigs.
Known to be fertile animals, pigs are often associated with abundance, and thus many believe that those born in the year of the pig will live a prosperous life.
The Chinese character for home is a combination of a modern character that represents a house on the top and a character below that represents a pig. Likewise, people have domesticated pigs for a long time. In Korea, pigs were used as sacrifice for memorial rituals for ancestors and were a precious food source for the Korean people. As 2019 is the year of the pig, and it's an earth pig year according to the sexagenary cycle, better known as kanji, that consists of a combination of a color and an animal. Earth pig also symbolizes yellow or gold, and this is why 2019 is the year of the golden pig, which comes just once every 60 years.
2007 was the year of the red pig, but it was marketed as the year of the golden pig. But this year is definitely the year of the golden pig, according to the Chinese zodiac.
Thus, people in Korea are hoping to benefit from some lady luck in 2019. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
Very cute animals, at least when they are piglets anyway. But let's move on to our next story. Local scientists have developed a new internet technology that can send data up to 10 times faster than the rate we enjoy right now. It's expected to be fully commercialized by the year 2021 and is predicted to foster growth in 4D entertainment industries, and that includes virtual reality. Our Jo Sung-min has this report.
Researchers at the Electronics and Telecommunications Research Institute have developed a way to boost internet speed up to 10 times faster than the current maximum transfer rate. The new technology can transmit data as large as 3 gigabytes in 1 second. The remarkable speed is equivalent to the human tactile sensing system. The developers reportedly were able to remotely control a robot that is sitting more than 260 kilometers away from their office in Daejeon using this technology. The groundbreaking development was possible by using a special fiber optic receiver module, which enables quicker transmission of vast amount of data. It stabilizes transfer rate and prevents any slowdown or technical glitches that occur in people's computer or smartphones when sending or receiving data. Developers say the technology would be made available commercially, possibly in the next year or two.
We expect the technology to be fully commercialized in 2 years, and once it hits the market, we expect it to be a key player in taking 5G technology to its full potential.
Researchers expect the technology will help boost the one-person media business industry, social online platforms, and the 4D entertainment industry. 조성민, Arirang News.
Good morning. It's a cold start to 2019 with cold wave advisories and warnings across the country. So stay bundled up as it's going to remain bitterly cold throughout the day, and the biting winds will only make it feel colder. Meanwhile, the dry weather intensifies with alerts in many areas now. In fact, forest fires broke out yesterday afternoon in mountainous regions of Yangyang in Gangwon-do province. Bone-dry conditions and strong winds are hampering efforts to control the spread of wildfires. So let's be extra careful with anything that could start a spark. Now, temperatures will be similar to yesterday. It's less appealing to go out, but at least there will be plenty of sunshine and good air across the country. And it will warm up a bit tomorrow afternoon. And the weather agency reported that this January will have many days with slightly higher than average temperatures. And for today, daily highs will be similar or a tad higher than yesterday, getting up to 0 degrees here in the capital. Daejeon will get up to 3 degrees this afternoon. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for viewers around the world.
Well, that's all we have for now. A Happy New Year to all of you out there. Do stay tuned to Arirang TV. And if you want to catch up on the latest news stories we have, you can go to our website, arirang.com/news. Also check out our Facebook page as well. Just search for Arirang News and click like. We'll have our next newscast coming up at noon Korea time. It will be me again because I'm filling in for Lee Ji-yoon all of this week. So until then, goodbye.